How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Mojo Group. Mike here. Today I'm going to give you an update and actual solution on the Sling TSI. Stay tuned. We've got a full hanger today, and guys, I'm going to tell you why it is extremely important to always get a second or third opinion. And I think this applies to anything in life, right? So here we are with the Sling TSI. And although it's opened up right now, I'm going to tell you exactly what we've done. And if you're going through a similar problem, which is why I'm making this video, for any TSI owners out there who may be going through a similar issue, consider this solution because this is what worked for us. So if you remember a few weeks back, I mentioned that I've been having fuel drop issue with the airplane. What that looks like is whenever you turn the airplane on or the engine is operating, you usually have, on run up and or when you're taxiing, there are certain parameters as far as your fuel pressure where it should be, right? And for me, when I first noticed it, it's not a lot of drop, but it was enough for me to have an eye on it, like, hey, this doesn't look normal. And I'll be honest, even the mechanics told me, well, it's within safe range, which in fact it was, but I just was not comfortable. And that's the thing, guys, if you know your airplane very well, right, and like this is what you're used to, and even when a mechanic tells you that it's safe to fly, you should still question, because that's what I did. Now, the airplane was safe to fly, but still it bothered me. Now, let me show you the fuel line and what we initially thought was the issue. So here, you may not be able to see it, and I've showed this before. There's this box right there. See that silver box? That's your fuel pump, right? That's the main pump. And this orange, these are the fuel lines right here, right? And then it connects to this guy. So you have the fuel pump, right? There's a filter right there, and it goes through the filter and then to the gasculator, right? And that's how your fuel system works. And there's also a U pump in the airplane in the middle console here. And for those who fly a TSI, depending on how yours is built, there's a pump right in there that supports that main pump. And that is actuated whenever I turn on the auxiliary, which, if I can see this second red one, that's my backup pump. And whenever I turn that on, that becomes actuated. Now, back to what the problem and solution was. So again, in operating the engine, whenever this comes on, engine runs fine. And that was also one of the things I was concerned about, because the engine was running fine. There was at no point where the engine would drop or the RPM would drop. No vibration, it ran smoothly. The problem was just the pressure kept dropping. Now, you can see right here, we removed this. Normally, you have this guy over here. And this guy is your fuel pressure regulator. And so this connects to the fuel line here. And then another line connects to the back of this and to this point right here, right? So you have the pump line connect to the regulator, and then the regulator to the engine. And so what we later found out after really 20 minutes. So keep in mind, this airplane mechanic has been working on it. We basically changed all the parts we could possibly change, clean out the fuel lines, everything, and still nothing. And I had a second opinion, okay, or maybe a third opinion, and I had a friend come take a look because he flies a Rotax engine as well. And the first thing he did was, okay, let's eliminate the biggest problem or the most expensive solution, which would be the fuel pumps. If I were to replace the fuel pumps for this airplane, you're looking at $4,000 or $5,000, maybe $6,000. Everything else, you're buying parts, a couple of $100, but also each time you buy a part and have it installed, guess what? It costs you money. So the first thing we did was eliminate the pump. So what we did was we manually tested, and guys, this did not take some fancy equipment. We just went normal basic style. So what we did was we removed, again, the regulator and just have the fuel line open into a fuel bucket, and we calculated how much fuel flow we were having, right? And everything looked normal. After the calculation was done, the engine was pumping fuel normally. There was no problem with that. So boom, we eliminated that. The fuel pump was not the cause. And the next thing he did was trace the lines, and then he came to this guy. But guess what? Before he got to this guy, he said, okay, let's check the vacuum hose, which connects to the engine and to the back of this. And guys, the original vacuum hose I've already tossed. Actually, no, this I'll show you. It's not tossed. So I kept it so I can show you in this video. So this is the original hose, and this goes from, again, from your engine here to the back of the pressure sensor. And we noticed a crack. Noticed a crack in this guy. And he said, well, it looks like there's a small crack. And so what we did was, I'm gonna put this down. Look, I'm explaining this in layman terms as easy as I can, even also because I'm not as technical. So please forgive if I'm not using any technical terms here. So since we found a crack in that, so I went to the store, auto store, which is 10 minutes away, and I got a similar size hose, only for testing purpose. So we said, okay, let's eliminate this simple problem here and see if that's the cause. So guys, this hose right here cost me $5, $4.99. And sure enough, we connected this new hose, and also I'd already bought a new replacement of the sensor just because it was part of what we needed to test. And guys, the new hose connected to the new pressure sensor, man, it was like heaven when I turned on that engine. The first thing I noticed, which I can't turn it on right now because it's not connected and I don't want fuel dropping. The first thing I noticed was before you start the engine, normally count 5 to 7 seconds to prime the engine, and you see the pressure go from 0 and it will rise to about 42 or 43. This time it rose all the way to 44, which was a shock because I'm like, I've never seen that high before. And then of course, crank the engine on, and boom, on one pump, guys, on one pump, we were seeing 44. Just to give you an idea, before we got to this point, I would turn the airplane on or turn the ignition in the engine on, and one pump would give me 41.9, which was my concern. And then with both pumps on, especially in high RPM, it would go down to like 40, it would go up to 42.5, which to me was still low. And again, when I discussed this with the mechanic, they said, well, it's still within range. And the safe range for these engines, if your pressure is above 37, I believe, 37 PSI, you're still in safe mode. But again, for me, that's too close for comfort, right? So although it wasn't a huge drop, but it was a drop enough for me to be concerned, and fixing or replacing these two parts. So again, for all you sling operators out there, if you ever run into this problem where your fuel flow or your pressure is not accurate or not looking good from the inside, it may just be this tiny thing right here, which is your hose to your regulator. And of course, you might as well go ahead and replace that regulator. And of course, it could be other things. It could be your fuel filter, which is another easy thing to replace. Just troubleshoot everything, including the pump itself. Obviously, the pump will be the most expensive thing to change. But this solved my problem. Hose, new regulator, problem solved. And with that, some exciting news coming up, because there's a reason why I brought this plane back, and I have a mission for it. And that mission includes you, okay? That mission includes you, because soon enough, we've been waiting for Mosaic to pass. Soon enough, this airplane will become part of the fleet here. And if you are looking to build some time after your commercial or instrument, whichever the case may be, we're going to have a time building program here where you'll be able to fly this very airplane and just go places, go on cross-country flights. For more information on that, go to lookupflightacademy.com. Just fill out the contact form and somebody will reach out to you. Okay, until next time, guys, I will share more good news because there's quite a few behind. I'm really excited and I'm so happy that we finally got a resolution to this. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll check back with you in a future video. Peace.